What is the mission of the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, and its Office of Chief Financial Officer? And what are its key financial management priorities? I'll explore these questions and so much more with my very special guest, Reggie Mitchell, Chief Financial Officer at USAID. Reggie, let's start off by learning more about your organization. Would you describe the mission and continued evolution of the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, and its Office of Chief Financial Officer?
Yes, Michael. The agency was established in 1960 by President John Kennedy. It was established to be the federal agency, the lead federal agency for international development and humanitarian assistance globally. We work in over 100 countries around the world. We have actual presence in about 58 countries where we have staff there performing the work. As an agency, USAID, we advance the U.S. national security interests. We demonstrate the American generosity, as our logo clearly show, from the American people, with our hands shaking another hand, and we promote the path for self-reliance and sustainability. As for the CFO office, as you probably know, Michael, the role of the CFO, Chief Financial Officer, was established under the 1990 Chief Financial Officer Act. That act established the role of the CFO and the statutory responsibility of oversight of financial management in the 24 largest federal agencies. That has since been expanded to just about every agency in the federal government now has a position that have oversight of financial management. Most of them do carry the titles Chief Financial Officer.
Regarding your responsibilities and duties, Reggie, what are the top 3 challenges, let's say, you have faced in your position, and how have you sought to address those challenges?
I think a challenge that many of us have, regardless of what work you have, line of work that you're in, is managing under this COVID-19 pandemic. As you know, we've been in this posture for 2 years plus, and my responsibility under the pandemic is that we have funds in place to ensure we deliver the needed vaccine worldwide. We work with international partners for timing of funds, and we ensure proper oversight and audit of COVID-19 funds. And so that's one challenge we have. It's operating under the COVID-19 pandemic. The second challenge, I would say, is working in fragile states. And all challenges we read in the news, famine, health, hostilities, we play a role in each of those environments. And that calls for a lot of concern when it comes to fraud and anti-corruption, and ensuring proper financial reporting with international accounting standards and audits is a big problem when you are operating some of these fraud states, and that's something that I have to deal with. And the third challenge, I would say, is transitioning from a traditional accounting role, as we know that the role of financial management and Chief Financial Officer is evolving. And, we have to get our staff ready and help them transition from the traditional accounting role to more of an analytic, more strategic role where we could be agile in our information of funding throughout the agency and reporting and be more of a partner with our program managers.
So, Reggie, would you highlight for us your strategic vision for your office and perhaps outline some of your key priorities?
Okay. Yeah. So, as we know, financial management is always evolving. I consider it vital to the success of USAID mission. I'm proud that our USAID worldwide financial management operations continue to be sound. In fact, we have achieved significant improvements over the past several years to include implementing a fully integrated global core accounting system, receiving a clean audit opinion on agency financial statements. Challenges still remains, however. They include operational and financial business challenges that we have to deal with, such as technology improvements are needed in areas to adopt new applications. The core systems need further refinement, and there's needs to improve integration of financial elements of key agency business systems as well. So we have established strategic goals as outlined in our 5-year strategic plan. And they are establish a culture of operational excellence, 2, become a trusted, valued strategic advisor, partner, and service provider, and 3, enhance enterprise risk management and internal control governance framework. So my hopes and plan for these strategic goals are through a number of priorities, including maintaining financial integrity and accountability, improving our financial management processes, enhancing the ERM governance framework, prepare workforce operations for the future, for example, advanced technologies, the use of, and training, and then focusing on becoming a trusted advisor and partner. As it relates to my vision, it is overall to become a trusted advisor and partner in the agency.
As we know, as you pointed out earlier, Reggie, USAID strives to maximize development impacts across the globe. To do that, it needs a financial management system that is efficient for staff and both reliable and useful for management, as well as compliant with federal requirements. To that end, would you tell us more about your efforts to enhance your agency's financial management system? What is being done to automate and streamline financial management practices?
Absolutely, Michael. We just published our CFO 5-year financial management strategic plan in April of this year. And in that plan, it outlines the vision for the agency financial management. And in the plan, we cover areas of enhancing our financial management systems, enhancing our financial processes. Enhancing the agency financial management processes captured under the first goal in the plan, in fact. And we are currently identifying systems and processes we plan on enhancing as we develop our roadmap to get us to our strategic vision in 2027. Right now, I'll have a working group established with several of our overseas controllers as participants, along with members of my staff here in Washington, D.C., and with the goal of making sure that the systems that we believe we could take on in a 5-year period of time are the right systems to take on based on the needs and requirements, primarily in the field, and our clients here in Washington as well. So I don't have names of specific systems at this point as they are being identified for my consideration once the working group present me with the completed roadmap. And once I have that, then I will know specifically what systems we believe we can successfully, modernize, update, even replace if need be, in order to meet the needs of our future financial management activities.
Reggie, could you elaborate for us on the development and launch of USAID's anti-fraud plan? How does it support the agency's fraud prevention, detection, and response activities?
Right. So, again, this is one of those mandates that came down, about 18 months ago, 2 years ago, and we started to get a group of staff together, both in the financial management arena as well as the program side of the house, to start to come together to develop this anti-fraud plan. All this falls under the priorities of sustainability, anti-corruption, and increasing the number of local implementing partners was all part of the focus on developing this plan that would be used by all staff. Okay, and so this plan also, when we developed it, we went on a communication, roadshow to distribute the plan and to talk about the plan and educate staff on fraud and corruption and the things to look for in their day-to-day activities. regardless of what area of the agency you work in. And the corruption, we understand that makes a more transparent environment, better financial results for our implementing partner, and creates an atmosphere of sustainability in country. And that's one of the things that we do communicate with our implementing partners as well. So the plan is the overarching concept of anti-fraud, things that we're responsible for as employees of the agency, and things that our implementing partners are responsible for as our partners in implementing our programs.
Reggie, today federal agencies recognize that risk is inherent and that managing risk must be integral to how you do business as an agency. To that end, could you tell us more about how USAID is leveraging enterprise risk management, ERM, to inform the agency's overall risk profile and to better anticipate, respond, and mitigate risks?
Yeah, so good question, Michael. Obviously due to the nature of our work, we always had a strong risk management culture and effective risk management process in place. But it was siloed and it wasn't consolidated into one process, for example. And so as an agency, we also consider risk when planning a strategy, and designing a project or implementing an activity. There's always the need to continuously reevaluate and adjust when circumstances and field conditions change. So when the enterprise risk management function was introduced in the agency, it provided a new way of looking at how the agency considers risk. Because now, instead of risk being handled in silos, risk now was being reported up through a governance structure to the leadership for awareness. So now we do have two ERM council. One is the Risk Management Council, which consists of career SES and senior foreign service officers. That council is considered the continuity, given that these are career SES and senior foreign service officer, and so therefore leadership does not change often. The second council is the Executive Management Council for Risk and Internal Control. And that council is made up of all the political appointees, and we collectively refer to them as the leadership. And that council takes recommendations from the RMC, and then they deliberate over those recommendations and then report up to the administrator. The MCRIC, or the Executive Management Council for Risk and Internal Control, is headed by our Deputy Administrator, Paloma Adams Allen. And that is where most of our risks are either addressed or sent back down to RMC for additional evaluation. The type of risk that goes up, it comes through a process we call the FMFIA, and it's assurances that all operating units have to make on the operation of their programs and organization, and gives them the opportunity to elevate risk to the next level of leadership. Once that's elevated, those risks comes to my office where they are evaluated and an analysis are performed and then presented to the Risk Management Council for deliberations and consideration. It's at that council where they review and they provide an oversight function on the agency risk profile, which is the document that captures all of our major risks in the agency and who makes recommendation to the next level of the council. So at USAID, our ERM process is totally integrated to our operations of the agency, and it provides all of leadership opportunity to opine on the risks as they're being reported up and made aware of what risks exist, and therefore it becomes a very valuable asset to the agency in ensuring that leadership are aware of its major risks.
Reggie, congratulations is in order again. For the seventh year, USAID is the recipient of the prestigious Certificate of Excellence in Accountability Reporting, CEAR Award, put out by the Association of Government Accountants, AGA. So would you tell us more about this award? What goes into receiving it, and how important is it for you, your team, and the agency as a whole to gain this recognition?
It is definitely a very important report because what this does is the Association of Government Accountants, AGA. This is the premier association for federal accountants and financial professionals. They have a robust review process they conduct on a yearly basis to look at all of the agencies that produces a agency financial report, and they review those reports and make certain recommendations and evaluate the effectiveness of the message, how well it defines the individual agency's mission, and things of that sort. So it's the highest form of recognition that a federal government financial management organization can achieve. It's recognized by Congress and OMB as well. And the award shows the agency commitment to excellence and stewardship, and helps Congress and OMB understand, why USAID matters. To win this award, the agency must, submit the report to the Association of Government Accountants program for evaluation to be eligible for 2 criteria to be met. So the agency financial report must be issued by the date given by OMB every year, and then the auditor's opinions on the financial statements must be unmodified, or what we used to call clean. So purposes behind just being compliant, it provides transparency to the taxpayers as well, and details into how each agency with the federal government and assures the taxpayer where and how the taxpayer dollars are being spent. The audience for this report, as I mentioned earlier, is the president through OMB, and Congress and the taxpayer.
This has been the Business of Government Hour, a conversation with Reggie Mitchell, Chief Financial Officer at USAID. Be sure to join us next time for another informative, insightful, and in-depth conversation on improving government leadership and its effectiveness. Until then, subscribe, download, and listen to the entire interview at Podcast One, iTunes, or on your favorite podcast app, and as always at businessofgovernment.org.